Dear Convo friends, happy Monday and happy lunchtime at least. That's what the time is over here. If you've read my post about a RAG based bot, Retrieval Augmented Generation bot, for the EU AI Act, you might remember that I kind of struggled with the general kind of use case for such a bot because if I want to know what the EU AI Act is, I probably go to Perplexity or I read the news. If I want to stay up to date with what's happening, I also read the news or I go to certain websites. So the question here is, why would someone want to actually read the document, the act itself? Because let's be honest, it's long. It's about over 120 pages. It's legalese, and it's also written for a very specific purpose. And the most obvious use case that I could think of is, well, you're an AI developer, you're developing solutions that make use of AI, and you want to know whether your application is compliant with the EU AI Act. And it's interesting because, well, the first part of the document, which is the longest, is a lot of provisions. But if you look at the annexes, they're quite different. You can see one here. This is Annex 3, which lays out what makes up a high risk AI system in the context of the EU AI Act. And as you can see here, it's a numbered list with nested bullets that basically give descriptions of what makes a high risk AI system. So if you want to check whether your system is a high risk AI system, you literally need to run your app through these bullets and see, hey, does this apply to me? Well, that's really interesting because usually the retrieval augmented generation bots that I've seen so far are all still based on the traditional question answer paradigm. So here's your document, and you can basically ask anything you like about it, and I'll give you the answer. But the thing is, if you don't know what to ask, well, that's not going to be of a lot of use. But in this specific case, there's a whole other thing going on. And this is a really, really nice opportunity to apply what I call content driven interaction. So if your source content has a nature, is of a certain nature, has certain characteristics, you might want to prompt your LLM to kind of connect to these characteristics and amplify them. And I guess that's a very wordy way of saying, hey, if your document is a checklist, turn your LLM into a checklist as well. And that's what I did, or tried doing, with this little prompt. You're an interactive checklist that can check whether a user's application is compliant with the EU AI Act. Very few instructions. Greet the user because there's nothing I, well, despise more than these custom GPTs that just plunk you into the deep end, right? It's like, hey, here's a custom GPT. You find out what it can do. No, a nice conversation. You kind of invite the user in, right? You kind of give them the affordances. You kind of tell them, hey, this is what we can do here. What would you like to do? Blah blah. Um, of course, a disclaimer because this is by no way legally binding advice. It's just informational. If it's going to be an actual checklist, we need to make sure that we know what we are checking. So we're asking the user, what kind of application are you developing? Some prompting techniques, rephrase, expand, and confirm is something I like using to make sure that the LLM actually captures the right things. Users tend to be very concise in their answers, and if someone just says, hey, mental well-being app, um, I want to make sure that the LLM has enough information to work from, and also I want to give the user the opportunity to make sure that the LLM has understood them correctly. So we can do that with generative AI by just kind of expanding this user answer a little bit, adding a bit more, and then asking like, hey, is this what you mean? And we get an explicit confirmation and we can continue. Um, Wait for the user to confirm so that we don't get everything in one big blob. That's right here, and continue with the next step. Another prompting technique, chain of thought reasoning. So rather than just going through each checklist item and just dryly saying compliant, non compliant, or applicable, non applicable, I really want the LLM to help the user kind of form an image, like an impression in their mind of why something is or is not applicable. because some of these categories might not be as straightforward. So it's nice if the LLM actually helps prompting the user to think a bit more. Ba, ba, ba. And of course, the other prompting technique takes some time to think this through. People have been using this prompt technique for with quite some success. We still don't know completely why it works. Some people say, well, if you prompt like this, you're actually kind of allocating more processor time to the LLM. I don't know, but it works. And then in the context, I've just copy pasted all the annexes. They're short enough to actually put them straight into the context, so I don't need to do a RAG here. Um, yeah, so let's see what happens. This, by the way, is PromptNet. It's one of my favorite prompt design environments using GPT-4 with a large context window, very low temperature, because I want the LLM to stick as close to the instructions as possible. I also want the LLM to start a conversation, so I'm not including a user message here. So I just leave that out. And we give it a run. Hello and welcome. I'm an interactive checklist designed to help you determine whether your application is compliant with the EU AI Act. Please note that this application is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. It's important to consult with a legal expert for a comprehensive understanding of your obligations under the EU AI Act. To get started, could you please tell me what kind of application you're developing? Okay, well, hey, I'm developing a mental well-being app for teenagers that runs on GPT-4. Thank you for sharing. And now it will expand, targeted at teenagers, which utilizes GPT-4, a generative pre-trained transformer model, likely designed to interact with users, providing support, possibly advice, related to mental health and well-being. Before we proceed, could you please confirm that this is an accurate description of your application? It sure is. By the way, if I wanted something else here, it actually allows for that. Great, thank you for confirming. Now let's go through the EU AI Act's annexes to check what's applicable to your mental well-being application for teenagers. Okay. So what it does here is it goes through all the items of Annex 3. Let's wait until that has run. Okay. So this entire thing is Annex 3. And I know that probably a lot of conversation designers will say, whoa, this is way too long. But to be honest, I think that this kind of information, it's kind of tricky to chunk. And I would probably favor an interface, a user interface that facilitates reading, also going back, going forth without losing the context all the time. So I wouldn't mind actually to have this in a more kind of a report style, because that's what it is, right? This is not a conversation. So conversational interface in this respect is also kind of out of context, because we're not prompting for conversation here. We're doing language based, you know, interfacing, but it's definitely not conversation here. It's checklist. So let's see what it has produce. Okay, biometric identification categorization of natural persons does not seem to involve biometric identification or categorization, so this category does not apply. It looks a bit like an open door. I actually wouldn't know if there's anything else to add here. Um, so it's kind of repeating itself here. But here we've got an interesting one, education and vocational training. While your application is targeted at teenagers, which could be associated with education, it does not appear to be used for determining access or assessing students in educational or and vocational training institutions. Therefore, this category does not apply. And this is interesting because this shows that the LLM has actually considered this category, has kind of linked teenager to education and still determined, no, this does not apply. That's chain of thought for you. Does not apply, does not apply, does not apply, does not apply, does not apply. Now this would typically be something that in a later iteration I prompt for something more compact. For instance, only mention the categories that apply. Then again, for transparency and compliance, it might actually be good to also have like the positive or the true negatives kind of listed out to make sure that it actually has run through all the items. Based on the information provided, your mental well-being application for teenagers does not fall under any high-risk categories in Annex 3. However, it's important to remember that even if your application is not classified as high risk, it may still need to comply with other requirements of the EU AI Act. And here I build in a little break because now it's time to move on to the next annex. I think there's about 4 in this document. So this gives the user like the opportunity to take a little break to review what's there and kind of prepare for a next checklist, or kind of pick up that checklist in another session. So yeah, this is content driven interaction in action for you. A first kind of exploration of how we can use the checklist paradigm as a system prompt for documents that look like checklists so that you get an interactive checklist. Really curious to know what you think about this. Yeah, that's it from me. Groetjes. Have a great Monday. Bye bye.